Earlier, I spoke to Nevada Democratic Senator Jacky Rosen. Here's what she had to say. Let's start with the state of negotiations. Democrats sent a counteroffer to Republicans today. Can you tell us what was in that counteroffer?
Well, I can tell you that Democratic leadership, a group of people have been negotiating with Republican leadership and the president. We haven't seen the details of that. They've been holding it pretty close to the vest. But what I can tell you is that if the president is serious and he does care about TSA like I do and like everyone should, then I do have a bill. And if he would give the House and the Senate Republicans permission to vote for it, I'd be happy to go to the floor right now, resubmit my bill as I've done multiple times, and we could fund TSA and end this mess at the airports. It all really hinges on what the president wants and what he gives permission for the Republicans to do. They need his permission.
I know you said you couldn't share many of the details in terms of this counteroffer, but it appears that Senate GOP leadership has already thrown cold water on this Democratic offer, which apparently contains some reforms. They say it's a non-starter. So where do Democrats go from here?
Well, I can tell you what I want, which is really simple. I don't want any law enforcement agency in this country to act as if they're above the law. And for the life of me, I can't understand why anyone else would want that either. So what do we want? I want a uniform code of conduct, just like my local law enforcement have. I want training, transparency, accountability, no roving patrols, honor the Fourth Amendment. Imagine that. It's in our Bill of Rights. We shouldn't have to negotiate honoring our Fourth Amendment. Also, people should have identification and cameras. Body cameras, they protect the agent and the person that they're interacting with. No masks, like I said, transparency, training, and accountability. It's what all of our law enforcement does. I don't want ICE to act as if they're above the law. I want them to be held accountable.
In terms of that posture, though, it seems like both sides really aren't that far apart. You know, Democrats have called for splitting off ICE funding, which Senate Republicans did in this latest offer. You have the White House's counteroffer where they did make some of those concessions that you're talking about in terms of more visible ID, body cameras, making sure sensitive locations aren't targeted by enforcement officers. Why aren't those offers good enough?
Well, I mean, I think you have to talk to leadership on both sides why they're rejecting the offers. But what I can tell you this is that Senator Murray, we've had a bill that we put up for a vote multiple times to fund all the rest of Department of Homeland Security except for ICE. In fact, the Republicans have already agreed to this because we voted on 11 budgets out of the 12 to fully fund, except for Homeland Security. So put up Senator Murray's bill and let us vote on it. But again, this all hinges on the president. Every day the president says something different. One day it's this, one day it's this, and it's not this. He's chaotic. It's his shutdown. He's controlling all of it. In the meantime, he's got us in a war that we probably shouldn't be in. He's shown no imminent threat there. And so just this chaotic nature, I don't think the Republicans know what to do because they're trying to please him. And I guess at this point, he doesn't even know what he wants.
Your colleague, Senator John Fetterman, had this to say a little while ago about the state of negotiations and how leadership is handling these negotiations. Let's take a listen and we'll talk on the other side.
What's going on is that shutting down the entire DHS because you're terrified by the base. We all knew that this shutdown would have no impact on ICE. All of the money that ICE needs was already part of the big, beautiful bill. You know, so now why shut down all of DHS when you're not going to generate the kind of changes that we all want? You know, I don't know. That's why I refused to do that. I made myself the only Democrat for that.
What do you make of the senator's comments?
Well, what I like to say to my colleagues, whether it's John Fetterman or all of the other Republicans, is that no one should want any law enforcement agency to act as if they're not accountable to the law. No one is above the law. And so John Fetterman's right. One big, beautiful bill did give ICE all kinds of money, more money than we give to the United States Marines. But there's no accountability in there. And what we want, what the entire United States should want, is the dignity to know that our law enforcement officers, whether they're local, state, or federal, and our military has a uniform code of conduct. Again, for the life of me, this should be something we should all want and should be able to agree on. Put up those codes of conduct just like our FBI has, like my local law enforcement had. Nothing more than that. And so John Fetterman, he has a point that ICE is still funded. But I disagree with him that we should do nothing because nobody's above the law in this country, especially our law enforcement.
You referenced this earlier in the interview, but you do have a bill to pay TSA workers, although it's been blocked by Republicans. So do you intend to bring that up again?
Well, I've offered my bill multiple times, as others have also taken up my bill multiple times. My bill simply funds TSA and allows our TSA agents to become whole and get paid for going to work. I'm happy to bring that up again. And what I will say to everyone out there, and if the president is watching, Mr. President, please give the Republicans in the Senate and in the House permission to vote for my bill. I'm happy to go to the floor right now, introduce it, and if they vote for it, we can send it to the House, and boy, you can have it on your desk as quickly as they can get it done, and we can take care of this problem. So the ball's in the president's court. It's his shutdown.
Lastly, Senator, if a deal is not reached this week, are you willing to forego your recess and stay here in Washington?
I'm always willing to work to move the ball forward for my constituents in Nevada and for the American people as a whole. So I will stay here and do whatever it takes to get this done. Again, I do believe that the ball is in the president's court. Whatever he gives them permission to do will be what happens, no matter what we all talk about. So I'm imploring the president, please listen to me, listen to others, allow us to fund TSA, allow us to fund the rest of Homeland Security. Give, not us, the Democrats, we're ready to do it. We have bills for it. We can just go right out there and put them on the floor. Give permission to your Republican senators and congresspeople to do the same.
All right, Senator Jacky Rosen of Nevada, the Silver State. We thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.